Can the Dragons bounce back playing at home against the mighty Sea Eagles? A fiery encounter on Channel 9, 8:30 tonight.
Hey! Have you tasted Kids Jelly Jam from Connie's?
Friday Night Football is proudly brought to you by McDonald's, where it's Mac time now, and Mitsubishi Motors. Tonight on Friday Night Football, it's the centenary clash of two of the game's most celebrated clubs.
A chance now with Walford taking on Willie Kahn and beating him.
Lyons along, cuts out Cunningham. Innocent is Innes. Innes will score, he does.
From Cogra Oval, the St George Dragons and the Manly Seagulls take up the gauntlet for the 100th time in their long-running rivalry.
Here's Mundine. Gets away from Renoff. Mundine floats the pass. Was it forward to Bronca? What it is a 50-metre run to the try line for Adrian Bronca to score. Hasler linking up with Gardner and then Menzies and now Innes. Innes looking for more inside. Danny Moore does that. He's down to the 20. He goes back for Menzies and Menzies gets a try.
There's much more than 2 points at stake when St George meets Manly. Tonight on Wide World of Sports.
It's been a very good 24 hours for the Manly Seagulls. Last night it was confirmed that fullback Matthew Ridge would be rejoining the club. He's not playing tonight, but that will spread plenty of confidence through their camp and see them firm in the premiership market. And tonight, as we welcome you to Cogra Oval, Manly's confidence could be boosted even further. They can overcome one of the real top 8 contenders for 1996, the St George Dragons. Dragons have hit a bit of a hurdle the last fortnight. Big losses to Brisbane and North Sydney really see them desperate for a win this evening. And Paul Vaughton, you're probably the wrong person to ask, but can they beat Manly tonight?
Well, Pete, they need to bounce back in front of their home crowd very quickly. And last week they didn't play that badly against North Sydney, although getting beaten by 42 points. Their cause hasn't been helped. A couple of late withdrawals. Chris Quinn is out, as is Lance Thompson. They're replaced by Dean Raper, no relation to the great John, and Colin Ward comes off the bench. Look, I think Saints will play well in front of their home crowd, but Manly, their defensive record is fantastic, and I think Manly will get away probably, I think, 10 to 12 points. Yeah, I think Manly will win this game. In fact, it is the 100th meeting between these two great clubs. The balance at the moment to St George, they've had 56 wins to 47. The Saints would love nothing better than to celebrate the century with 2 competition points. Let's go to the kick-off with Ray Warren.
Here they come, the Newman St George Dragons.
Peter, thank you very much as St George goes out for this home ground clash with Manuwarringa in front of a decent crowd. It's a lovely night in Sydney. It's the 100th premiership clash of these two great clubs. And there's the St George side, a familiar name at fullback, no relation, Dean Raper. Walford, Coyne, Brunker in the centres, Donnelly, Mundine, Goldthorpe, Barnhill, Bartram, Stone, Ward, Colin Ward gets a reprieve, Campion into the run-on side with Hardy at the back of the scrum. David Waite is the coach. Now Manly equal second, St George equal in 7th, Manly 6-1, and really boasting some strength tonight on the bench. Let's have a look at the run-on side. Hopewati at fullback, Moore, Innes, Hill, Nevin on the wing, Lyons, Tuvey, Gillespie, Sidaris in the run-on side, Carroll, Menzies, Kosef in the run-on side, Cunningham, and coached by Bob Fulton. Well, John Hopewati's got the one on his back tonight, probably for the last time, with the news of Matthew Ridge is coming back. Steve Roach on the sidelines.
Yeah, beautiful conditions here, as you already mentioned. A big crowd making plenty of noise. Big test for St George tonight to see if they can stay in that top 8 after being flogged last week by North Sydney. I think they'll come back tonight, the Dragons. They save some of their best performances for their home ground. A memorable one against the Canberra Raiders earlier in the year.
Steve, on the sidelines, thank you. David Gillespie pumps up Wayne Bartram. Nathan Brown on the bench. David Manson, the referee. And this is the start of a big weekend of rugby league. The Origin sides on Sunday night. And of course in front of that on Sunday, Brisbane and Canberra. And Premiership leaders, the Sydney City Roosters, take on the Warriors tomorrow. So Shannon Nevin will kick off the 100th clash. 56-37. St George holding the balance of power. And now this youngster, Nevin, starts for Manly as they run left-right. And the ball skewers across to the right wing of St George. And their captain appropriately brings it out to be tackled on his own 20-metre line. I was reading where in the first match they played, St George gave Manly a real spanking, and Jack Lindwall, a brother of the great cricketer, scored a personal tally of 36 points, made up, I think, of 6 tries and 9 goals. And if that doesn't add up, please don't blame me. This is Brunker playing it now, just beyond the 30-metre line. And now David Barnhill. Manly, with Carroll going in strong. He claims to be the forgotten man in Origin discussions, even though he wore the green and gold to England last year. John Hopewadi now. Saints go down the park. They tie him up inside his own 30-metre line. As I mentioned, it's not a bad crowd, certainly not bursting at the seams, but Danny Moore is put away now, 33 metres out from his own line, with the Origin coach parked up in the box, watching every movement of the charges that more than likely will come out in the selection processes over the weekend.
And more importantly, selectors around Australia watching this on television, and some selection dilemmas no doubt on Sunday night. But geez, you're on fire early, Raps. Commentating great.
Shut up.
Jack Lindwall killed it.
Turn it up. Try and do the job as well as you can, and you still get bagged. Raper brought it back. Coyne gives it on. And now this is Donnelly. He's just inside the 30-metre line. Fair dinkum, Kim, I don't know how you live with him. Mundine gets the pass away. Big Troy Stone gallops ahead. And he'll play it now 38 metres out from his own line as Jeff Hardy gives the pass on. And this is Colin Ward. Now the pass is forward for mine. The touch, he called it. Manson couldn't possibly have called it, but the touch judge gave him the nod, and that's a bad mistake.
And not often you see Jeff Hardy make simple errors as such. Very tough month, of course, for St George. Up against Canberra, Brisbane, Norths, and now Manly. Imagine as a coach looking at that run, you'd probably be satisfied with 2 wins out of the 4. You could not afford 3 losses, and that's what faces St George this evening.
The scrum on the halfway line. Oops. Tuvey came in contact with the referee. It had no effect on the game. He allows play to go on. And now Sedaris gives a quick ball away, and that's Menzies, whose grandfather, in fact it was Kossev, but Menzies' grandfather played in that first match that we were talking about.
Him and Jack had great games.
That'll do me, Raps.
30 metres out from the line. Tuvey goes around the back. He picks up Lyons and then Lyons. They came out of the line, the Dragons. Hill puts the hand up, puts a fend on. Nevin improves. Now he's lost the ball. Saints have come away with it. Miraculously they did. And then they flirt with the sideline. And he's put his foot on the line.
Well, this is a very interesting decision, this one. Dean Raper just tried a little bit too much here. He got too close to the sideline after the mistake from Nevin. Beautiful ball from Terry Hill. Nevin, the big right foot step, took him inside Noel Goldthorpe. Then the ball comes loose off Raper's shoulder. Now he had to head back infield at that right there.
I'll tell you what, he was a fairly brave referee to declare that they gained some advantage from that, St George. Keep in mind that Nevin lost it forward. St George, did they gain an advantage?
I think the tackle was suspect taking him over the sideline as well. It looked like a second one to me as Manly. A good ball from Lyons. Steve Menzies trying to step out of the tackle.
Saints are coming out of the line very quickly. They're trying to shut down Cliff Lyons. They might pay a hefty penalty. It's Carroll now. 20 metres out, centre of the ground. Sedaris looks for Lyons, flicks it up to Lyons, then he dummies, then they run the crosses, and then Cunningham ran into a brick wall. That was a good tackle there from, it was Campion in the 12. Now Sedaris runs himself 6 metres out from the line. 5 gone for the Eagles. Back through Kosef, on to Tuvey. He rubbers it into the end goal. Work back there for Dean Raper, and he shovels it over the dead ball line.
Well, they look on song tonight, don't they? Manly playing quite well in the early stages of this game. Whilst they've been playing the ordinary sides in the comp, they've had some good victories, but not winning really convincingly. I mean, by some big margins, but not playing that well. This is a big test for them tonight against St George here at home.
Let's just have a look. Well, I almost think it was a fairly tough call against St George. He did well there, Dean Rape. He got a bad bounce right at the end. He had to put the ball over the dead ball line. Now Mark Carroll winds up, brings it within 30 metres.
There's been a hand between the legs here as Carroll kept those legs pumping, getting through that defence. And a hand looks like from Jeff Hardy, which picked up and drove him.
How was it on the Wishart scale?
This was about a half.
Shannon Nevin will be kicking for goal as we come back to direct pictures. 30 metres out, and he's only a matter of a couple of metres off centre. No score, 6 1/4 minutes gone in the centenary match, Manly and St George. Just for the record, at Cogra they've played 23 times and St George have beaten Manly 15-7 with one of those matches drawn. Face of rugby league in the 90s. Now he strikes it, it's on its way, and it's there. First points go to the Sea Eagles. They're up by 2 after 6. Friday night football around Australia and going overseas to some countries, and Manly leading St George 2-0 as Terry Hill is picked up and then gently put down. But this is the first time that Manly have been in their own territory in the opening 7.5 minutes. Gillespie puts his hand up and takes it outside the 30-metre line. Sedaris has looked sharp in a couple of the things that he's done. He was the name on everybody's lips a couple of years ago. Then things went wrong for Jim Sedaris. He's in the run-on side in 9 tonight as Lyons keeps it low. A stabbing kick and well fielded by Dean Raper. Comes around Sedaris and then he's taken to ground and put away by Kosef. Brunker found himself a dummy half. Donnelly reaches the halfway line.
St George will be very happy with that result. This is the third tackle now as Troy Stone takes it 41 out. Not a particularly good kick from Cliff Lyons. It wasn't deep and it went straight to the fullback.
Now Hardy pushes it right. Mundine. Oh, well, Bartram got involved.
Leave him now, leave him.
Somebody went haywire there. Was it Mundine? Was it Bartram? One of them has to wear the penalty. Menzies is with it now. 31 metres. Watch this. Mundine goes, I think, to give a ball across the face for Mark Coyne, and Bartram got in the road. Now it's Gillespie, pulled down by Ricky Walford. Ricky will be, I would imagine, happy to get the thoughts of North Sydney out of his mind, as will St George. They bumped the Bears when the Bears played almost the perfect match. Now Kosef, a long ball as St George come up, then they have to slide. Hill is brought down and tackled. 35 out from his own line. Steve Roach sideline.
Yeah, good start to Terry Hill. It's his last opportunity to get the rep selectors to have a look at him. There's no injury worries to him so far in this game. He did have a problem shoulder the last couple of weeks.
Tuvey got an awful pass from Sedaris. It's one thing Jim will have to learn. Jeff Tuvey is built much closer to the ground. Walford Back now, beyond the 40-metre line, his own end of the ground. 2 points to nothing, Manly in front. And this is Dean Raper, up from fullback, taking the first receiver play. His captain is the dummy half and Barnhill is the runner. And David gets a flick pass away. Mundine was there. Then he steps around Cunningham, who comes again from behind to pull him down. They're 31 metres out. They're in the centre of the ground. And this parochial crowd will go mad if they score early and hit the front. Coyne, he's tidied up though. Now, the first real test for the Manly defence. Goldthorpe along the line. Stone, his first rep jumper behind him. Then Mundine, and then bumped along the ground and up came the ball for Bartram. Bartram turns it in, and then they make the mistake through Donnelly. And referee Manson will put a scrum down.
Well, they look good when they're going forward with the football. St George Mundine is drifting across the field looking for runners and having the occasional run. On that occasion, Donnelly set himself back on the inside but couldn't hold the football. And so I don't think Saints have completed the set of 6 yet.
And if that was the criticism from their coach David Waite, last week's performance, it was getting through their set of 6. Both Ray and myself did that game, and North Sydney were just superb. 1 drop ball in the first half, 5 in the second in atrocious conditions. St George did not play that badly. When you look at the scoreline, you'd think they must have had a shocker, but that was where they were poor, not holding the ball in possession.
Corresponding match 2 years ago. Talking of some memories that St George would rather forget. That was 61 blot 2 years ago at Brookvale. And then last year, you remember they spilled over the sideline in an all-in brawl, and Eddie Ward threatened to call the game off. Now, penalty goes to Manly. Anthony Mundine, the offender.
A couple of occasions now St George have given away penalties late in the tackle count. It's committing suicide against a team like Manly, although Cliff Lyons hasn't fully capitalised. He's found touch but only picked up 6 or 7 metres. And now Carroll will pick up more with this run.
Good tackle by Stone and Ward, the lookalikes. Gillespie shuffles up to the 30-metre line. And now they come back on a fairly wide blindside. Kosef did well. Sidaris is there. Pushed on by Gillespie. Into the hands of Tuvey, and Tuvey is wrapped up by Ward. Now, out from dummy half, Cunningham. He's very quick off the mark, OJ. He's pulled down, though. 8 metres away from St George's line. Is there trouble coming for the Dragons? From Tuvey to Lyons. Players around him. Then it's Menzies. Now it's Hill. This is Nevin. Nevin is held. 5 metres out from the line, right in the corner. Play back now for Hill to sweep it, and Lyons to kick. And they're both onside out wide, the Manly players. They bat the ball back down. He was onside more. Then it's Sidaris. He rolls it into the in goal. It's a deep in goal, and again Dean Raper has to put it over the dead ball line.
Now they're putting plenty of pressure on the youngster. Jim Sidaris there did a fine job, realising the last tackle was up. Got the ball into the in-goal area. Kick across from Lyons. It wasn't where he wanted it to go. He wanted it closer to the try line. Battered back by Craig Innes. And then Sidaris, he knew what the situation needed. And the kick was well weighted.
Saints with an ordinary dropout. So Tuvey will play it on the first. Tackled by Ward and Stone. There's the tackle count. St George are doing a lot more work in defence. Most of the ball has been with Manly. And now Carroll, a stampeding run. He's just inside the 10-metre line. And Manly are deep and they're wide. Tuvey, out it comes. Lyons holds it back, looks for the second man. Kosef gets it on Hopewadi. Then Terry Hill, not held, and he gets it over the line. That is lovely stuff. That's good stuff by Manly. Terry Hill gets the try.
Oh, that's a great try there to the Eagles. How deep were they? When they got the football, there were some players back on the halfway line. This is what rugby league's all about. Running onto the ball at speed. A nice little decoy there. by Steve Menzies, and then Kossoff got the arms free. There's no defence whatsoever, and just not good enough for stuff that was there. Terry Hill got up, ran again.
And the mistakes that St George made were that they had two players going low in the one tackle. Fairly simple job for the Manly ball runner to get the ball away. Here's Lyons. The second man pass, a hint of a shepherd behind Menzies. Kossoff comes through. Now both of those players have gone low, and that allowed Nick Kossoff a very simple offload. So too Jason Donnelly. He had to try and wrap up Hopewati high, and it was a very tough job for Raper, travelling at speed against Terry Hill. He pirouetted out of the tackle, did well to get the ball down.
I'll tell you what, it's been a long time since anyone's seen a back line that deep, Sterler, or back on the halfway line.
Well, I think if I was playing outside Cliff Lyons, that's where I'd want to be as well. You know that he's going to open something up for you fairly often during the night, and at speed and depth, you're going to be in a better position to take advantage of it.
Guys, that deep will be half an hour getting there for the pass. They were deep. Paul wasn't joking. I know he does exaggerate, but the winger was on the halfway line.
Not our Paul.
Divide by two, you've got it right. Nevin from the sideline. He's just gone across the face of the uprights. So, Manly 6, St George 0, a quarter of an hour gone. Back at Cogra, and Manly, they're oozing class tonight. Hopewati now. And then Sedaris goes across and picks up Carroll, and then Nathan Brown, who's on. Des Hasler really is marking Nathan Brown from the bench, so I wonder how long it'll be before Bob Thornton puts him into the game. And this should be a knock-on. Chance here for St George. Nathan Brown appealing to Nick Kossoff for the ball. And it was Gillespie who was taken by Campion. And was there a hand raking it out from Sedaris? Maybe that's why Nick Kossoff was hanging on to the ball. Here's Coyne trying to slice through. He's on the 20-metre line. Manly's end of the ground. Goldthorpe into Campion's midriff. 17 and a half minutes gone. Brown now finding the number 9, Wayne Bartram, getting an opportunity to run now that Brown is on. Mundine along the line. Stone. And a grassing tackle by Kossoff. Hardy now dummy half. Then Mundine. Now Goldthorpe. Dummies outside. Then Coyne. And Coyne is bundled into the ground by Innes. Back for Brown. To the air off the left foot. It's a good kick. It's a precise kick. They had a hand on it and lost it on the way down.
We're just wondering whether Adrian Brunker is knocked on here. Appears to be the case with play coming out to the 20-metre mark. Brunker trying desperately to get it back behind him. The referee says no. And the restart from Manly sees them pick up 10 metres.
30-metre line. Underneath Sedaris. Kossoff. And then on the half volley, it's Lyons. And they go back to go forward. And Terry Hill was eventually held by Mundine and Donnelly. And Lyons then picks up his runner. It's Cunningham this time. Barnhill goes over the top. Campion goes down low. 6-0 the scoreline. Midway through the first half as Menzies tries to trample over the top of Brown. Then they go over the 40-metre line towards the halfway. Kossoff, a diagonal run for Danny Moore to take the tackle with Goldthorpe. 5 gone as they look. He was looking for somebody, and suddenly that player was David Gillespie, and he fell to the ground as if to say, don't give it to me. And now it's with Coyne. 33 metres out from his own line. Walford comes into dummy half. And this is the other winger, Donnelly. Manly defence again holding tight. Steve Roach on the sidelines.
Yeah, even though Manly's attack hasn't got to what it usually is this season, their defence is still outstanding. They can scramble so well when they're caught on their own line.
Brunker's performance there was worthy. He sussed out a penalty, was available. He ran from dummy half and brought that penalty from Manson. 20th minute coming up on your clock.
Yeah, and also a good quick play of the ball, wasn't it, from Ricky Walford? And Saints got their first penalty right there.
2-1 the penalties. Manly's way. Saints getting another chance to apply some pressure. Barnhill did well. Then it's gone through Goldthorpe. It's now with Mundine. Mundine, he links up out there with Campion, who brushes away from a tackle before Cunningham picks him up. And then Kosef comes over the top. Bartram, it went backwards, did it? The referee's now ruled that a knock-on happened.
I don't think I've seen a knock-on like that for a long time. He threw the dummy to himself. Oh, Wayne, look, I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh, but it was a touch, Manny. I think David Waite thought it was funny.
There's a bit of sadism in you. Manly coming up with the scrum now. There's Craig Innes. He is buried away by St George. Now Hopewate. Tomorrow we've got the Sydney City Roosters. Bernie Gurr advising me by mail this week. Please call them the Sydney City Roosters. Okay, Bern, we'll do that. It's just easier the other way. Now, and of course they play Auckland. This is Gillespie now, 30 metres out from the line. And then for Carroll, who found himself at the football when he wasn't meant to have it, it seemed. Lyons, Hopewate and Hill. And there's Donnelly leaping off the ground to take Hill ball and all. 5 tackles gone, and now Terry Hill. Now David Manson is going to put a scrum down.
And you can see Terry Hill appealing to the linesman for a penalty. Man, they looked like they were going to kick on 3 or 4 occasions there. They got themselves a bit messed up. A strong tackle by Donnelly with some help from Jeff Hardy. And from here, there was a hand in there. It looked like an accidental one.
Well, accidental or not, it certainly wasn't Terry Hill's fault. And it maybe didn't warrant a penalty, but it should have been a scrum with Manly's feed.
Well, now Mark Coyne has lost the football.
So what started out as a free-flowing...
well, it's evened up there. John Hopewate should have been penalised for sure.
Now the scrum to be worked by Tuvey in the centre of the ground, 30 metres out from his own line. So Manly, with Tuvey coming to the right of the ground, and then Cunningham from his scrum quickly into dummy half. Kosef now.
Yeah, heavy involvement from Kosef as well. He leads the tackle count on 7, and also the hit-ups with 10 already in this game. And he's looking to cement a spot in the back row.
6-0 Manly. Try by Terry Hill. And a penalty goal for Shannon Nevin. As Menzies unloads, Lyons dives on it, but the referee has picked up a knock-on.
And that was good, strong outside back defence there from St George, which simply forced the mistake. Look at them, got up quickly. You've got Goldthorpe. And they forced the mistake from Menzies. Des Hasler coming onto the field now, replacing Jim Sidaris, who gets a well-earned break. He's played very well in the first 20.
I was just talking to the Manly doctor there and appearing to clutch at the stomach rib area. Hasler's on now as St George through their winger, Jason Donnelly.
Didn't Sidaris have a double hernia operation not that long ago? He would be fairly tender there still.
Brown into the hands of Troy Stone, who got through one, turned it back for Raper to support. And they're 10 metres out there in front of the uprights. 24th minute of the game. Brown to the right for Goldthorpe. Goldthorpe's pass for Bartram. Bartram close to the line. There it is. Brown, Goldthorpe, Mundine. Oh, Mundine has knocked on.
Wow, did he knock on? This will be interesting again. I know that we talk about it fairly often in the modern game. It just seems whenever the ball's dropped, I just can't see where that went forward.
Well, I reckon that's the third one tonight that's gone backwards. They've called.
Well, that's right.
Forward.
I mean, the ball went backwards and then bounced forward, but that is not a knock on. Tuvey now goes down the blind side.
This is a massive problem for St George. They've hardly put any pressure on the Manly defence through the drop balls. I think that's their 7th.
Cherry Hill tied up by Jeff Hardy. In the main, Adrian Branca with an assist tackle. And David Gillespie gets a rest now. David wearing one of those breathe right nose bands that some of the swimmers have been using. Here's Hasler, fresh man on, making a good run. Down and tackled inside the 20-metre line by Bartram. 5 tackles gone. Manson waving St George out of it. Put down by Lyons for Menzies, then for Gardner. Now it's over the head of Tuvey. Bouncing, John Hopperworthy knocked on. Well, it seems we're destined for neither.
And Des Hazard, the fresh man on, the man who carved up St George. Some sloppy Saints defence there. The defensive forwards too wide around that ruck. Left a big hole for Des. He's still got a bit of pace, despite the fact he's 35. And then Hopperworthy at the end of this, they had about a 3-man overlap.
They've been very critical of St George's handling, but I don't think Manly's has been much better, really. It's been a poor game in that department. And really not through the intensity in defence. There's just been some simple mistakes from 2 class teams.
So he's having a strong game, Peter's Troy Stone. He's really come on the last few weeks, hasn't he? Here he goes again. He's looked dangerous every time he's got the ball. He's running hard and looking to offload.
Tierney is on. Neil Tierney against one of his old clubs. This is the last tackle for St George. Goldthorpe to the air. His chasers are onside. And Mundine, he had nobody in opposition. He didn't really want the football. He was looking to bat it back down. 27th minute coming up on the clock. Innes comes in from the centres to take some work. Hazelnutt cross and picking up Tierney, that is, into the Magpies from memory after St George. This is Daniel Gartner. Daniel, of course, missed the City Country match, but the contest and the class of the Manly back row is evident tonight, with Kosef coming in and Gartner on the bench. And, of course, Sidaris in and Hasler on the bench. It's probably the best way to measure the strength of any side. That is the strength of those 4 players on the bench. Saints now back inside their 20-metre line. They have trouble, or have had trouble, in mounting pressure on Manly.
And they'll be looking for this man to take them out of their danger zone fairly often. This is Jason Stevens on now. High shot from Carroll. So he's on for Jeff Hardy and gets inside a penalty with his first touch of the football.
Yeah, good stuff from Stevens there, struggling in the play, trying to get up to give his side some advantage with a quick one. Good strong tackle there from Mark Carroll. In the end, Daniel Gardner, the second man in, his hand on the football.
To the halfway line then for the tap. Taken by Campion, and Stevens takes it ahead, and they're good yards. Goldthorpe is handling the ball now, and then he pushes it along the line for Stone. And a grousing tackle by Gartner. Nathan Brown. They go left again for Mundine to go around the back. And this is Bartram. Just outside the 20-metre line. 6-0. Manly over St George. Saints have not been able to complete 6 tackles in this part of the ground. Brown to the 10-metre line. Goldthorpe goes back. Raper was there. He likes to live up in the back line. 5 tackles gone. Brown goes right. Goldthorpe then kicks. It's over the left of the ground and saved by Tuvey. He goes scampering away, looking for free territory and finds it.
He did a magnificent job to get back in the field of play, but it was more good luck than good management that denied St George a try there. Mundine just didn't get the bounce he wanted. The kick was for him. Doubtful whether he was onside. That bounce there, going away from him, not up into his arms. And Tuvey, marvellous job to get back in.
Manly then have progressed to just beyond the 30-metre line as Mark Carroll comes off. Menzies. Half an hour gone. And the pass from Lyons looked a shade forward. Manson got another call from his touch judge that was right on the button. Good call. They can make the difference, these calls, and the men on the sidelines, they're so important to the centre man.
Yes, it was a good call. Manly like to take those chances on the fifth tackle, mainly because their defence is so good. To make a break against Manly, they're not going to be out position. It'll just come down to a simple missed tackle by them that will allow St George to get through.
Barnhill's pass was a shocker, really, for Goldthorpe.
You're not running the ball on the last tackle too, apart from the fact that you're up against a shortened defensive line, because generally the wingers go back. You find that sides relax. They want you to kick the football to them. Here's a penalty for St George now. Again, the dilemma of whether to kick for goal and put first points on the board, or to go for the try not far out from half-time. Wayne Bartram opting for the former. Been very strong tonight, Wayne Bartram. I think he's actually played better football this year than when he represented last year. No, I did go for Jason Hetherington as the hooker in the Queensland side when asked to name it for the footy show, but I think he's got to be in the 17 for the Maroons. The mob up north.
So Wayne Bartram, 24, 5 test matches and 3 origin matches behind him. He's kicking at about 75% this year. And because of Nathan Brown's return, but even before Nathan Brown came back, Jeff Hardy was deputising as much as possible a dummy half, and Wayne enjoying his football and running more. His kick, though, hits the upright and bounces through. Well, he's taken a shaving of paint with him. Saints get their first points. They're behind by 4. Back at Cogra. And Manly in front by 4 as St George come away from off their own line, and Campion again. Well, he deserved the run-on jumper this week after his performance against North Sydney in a beaten side. And his coach has given him that reward. He's not letting the coach down. Walford. And this is Stevens. Here is a knock-on called by Manson. I thought he might have got some help from the tackler. Steve on the sideline. A comment on St George's performance.
Yeah, plenty of pressure on the St George forward pack with Nathan Brown and Stevens coming back. I don't think David Waite will suffer 3 losses very well, so it's up to them 2 players to take the Saints forward in this match.
Manly then, a chance to mount some more pressure. A scrum win, 35 metres out. Tuvey's tackled on the first, and they come on a wide blindside, and Innes is met by the shoulder of Barnhill and over the top by Mundy. Hasler in the 16 tonight. Crossing the 20-metre line as Daniel Gardner gets it back for Hasler. Then it's gone back on the inside, and the 25 is Tierney. He's able to give Hasler another chance with the football, but he's pulled down. And 12 metres out from the line, St George again trying to repel Manly. Gillespie goes for a run from dummy half. Doesn't score many, but enjoys them when he does.
Again,
he's 3 metres out.
And very deep to the right once again.
Tuvey then steps off his right foot and is pulled down and tackled. Held there. Desperate stuff by Raper. It's come across for Lyons. The cutout ball, and Hill dropped it, got a kick on it. He tried everything he knew, Terry, but it's gone out on the full. Watch this with Terry Hill.
I think he actually caught the football.
And the ball went out in the full, but Jeff Tuvey's looked very sharp tonight. He's be getting back to the best form we've seen him in over the last couple of years, stepping off that right foot and looking to go up on the inside when the players have moved up quickly on the outside.
And that was a crucial set of 6 tackles in defence for St George. They've got back to within 4 points of Manly. Not far out from dummy half. A big tackle there from Cunningham on Adrian Brunker. It was a beauty.
This is David Barnhill. As we come into that zone of the match, that we call the crucial period, just in front of the half-time break. Manly, will they be able to increase their lead, or can St George go to the break in front? This is going to start a new set of 6 for Manly in pretty good field position. They're 8 metres on their own side of halfway as Lyons uses a cross-F and then Menzies. They're running a fine line occasionally, Manly, in the area of shepherding or obstruction. Tierney, cross-F, put down by Innes. So Saints they've lifted magnificently in defence.
The outside men are getting up very quickly. Craig Innes actually tried to bat that ball on without catching it straight to his winger, Danny Moore, who was in open spaces. But you just wonder, with them coming up so quickly, whether Cliff Lyons is going to throw one of those select passes and catch them out.
Cunningham comes off. St George come across, and Mundine put away by Innes coming up, and Tuvey coming across, sliding. That is Brunker. Now on the halfway line. Brown for Goldthorpe. Cut-out ball on Stevens, accepted by Coyne. Bumps away from a would-be tackle, but runs into the clutches of Gillespie. Then Bartram crosses the 40-metre line. Pulled down by Gartner. Held down by Tierney. Centre of the park. Brown for Stevens. Stevens has got Ward trailing him. Jason takes the tackle. Goldthorpe comes out from dummy half. A mile of time to put in an accurate bomb. What'll be the result? Oh, John Hopewati. That's a good performance.
And he got very good help there from his teammates. Shannon Nevin tries to pick up a couple of metres. There you can see the ring around him. Nick Kosseff, Cliff Lyons, all getting in the way.
Manly then are 15 metres out from their own line as we come close to half-time. 4 points in front, the Eagles. That is Gartner. The Roosters and the Warriors tomorrow. The Raiders and the Broncos on Sunday. Inside the 30-metre line, he's had a busy night. And he hasn't let them down. He might have missed a tackle, but many fullbacks would have.
No, he's handled it very well tonight, Dean Raper, former Australian schoolboy from 1994. He's done everything right. He's been knocking the ball back over the in-goal line when he's had to, and he's come into the back line at some good occasions to make some ground. He's handled it well.
Colin Ward then, who was named on the bench, and Lance Thompson was a late withdrawal, and Colin got the reprieve. Quick work by St George, and Raper in the back line tries to make the break, but it is shut down frustratingly by Kosseff. Then from Goldthorpe he cuts out 2 forwards before Mundine and Coyne, they combine. And Coyne is 22 metres out, on tackle 5. Bartram appeals for a penalty. Now Goldthorpe off the left foot. And the Manly players have not communicated, and Mundine scores with the halftime siren almost with us.
No, Rats, no try.
Now he's ruling no try. Well, he might have got a call from a touch judge. Manson went up to give it, and I think he must have got called out of it. He didn't grasp the ball. A knock-on in putting it down. Well, that could have been catastrophic, but David Manson, by just hesitating, whether he got a call from the touchy or the in-goal judge, I don't know, but Mundine failed to ground the ball.
Well, that could prove costly in the end. it was a gift, 4 points, possibly 6. And, you know, when Mundine went down in the football, he just didn't, he came up with no confidence. I think he knew he'd knocked it on.
Well, that was the try that St George desperately wanted. The siren sounds, the half-time break is there. Referee Manson acknowledges the siren, but says we're not quite finished yet. Lyons puts the kick in immediately after the tap. An awful bounce, but young Dean Raper takes the tackle, and so there it is. 6 points to 2. A try for Terry Hill, a penalty for Shannon Nevin, and for St George, Wayne Bartram a penalty. A try absolutely slaughtered by St George. Would have seen them go to the break at least level. Now they've got 10 minutes or 15 minutes to rue the thought of what might have been. Anthony Mundine knows that it was no try, and those nagging thoughts he's got to get from his mind. It hasn't been the best game of league, but it's had them on the edge of their seat. We'll take a break, then we'll come back. Stello and Fatty will have a look at the first 40 minutes in retrospect. Here's a break on Nine's Friday Night Football.
George Dancers.
Oval punctuated with handling errors, but Manly have had the better of the first 40 minutes to lead at the break, 6 points to 2. And statistically, neither coach would be happy with this at all. Really, both sides have been very ordinary with the football, not holding it through to their 6 tackles. You can see there the quality of the Manly defence. No line breaks for St George, just the 2 for Manly. And down the bottom 18 handling errors between these two sides. So really the side that can control the football in the second stanza are going to be very well served. And Paul Vaughton, Manly, as we say, I think have had the better of the first half, but they only lead by 4, and realistically it could have all been tied up or the other way.
But Manly are playing so well. The defensive line is outstanding. The only way Saints can make a break is through a missed tackle, and so far they've only missed, a limited number of them, and no clean breaks for the St George side. Saints are playing all right. They're in this game right up to their eyeballs.
Yeah, well, early on it was all Manly, and it was after 15 minutes that Terry Hill finally took some some advantage of good inside work. The ability of the Manly players to keep the football alive, it's always been their trademark.
And the fact they were so deep in attack really was where they got the try from. A beautiful backline movement. Once Cliffy Lyons got some room to play with out there, anything can happen. A good decoy, hit of a shepherd. A few of the St George supporters said to me coming down here at half-time they thought it was a shepherd, but not really, and Terry Hill did well. He raised that second effort to get over the line to get the 4 points for them. Of
course, Terry Hill looking for a strong performance with the selections for State of Origin on Sunday night. If the defence is good against you and you can't go through it, you go over the top. And St George were nearly successful with the combination once again of Goldthorpe and Mundine.
And Jeff too, he's having a mighty game for the Eagles tonight. He saved the day here. It was a Mundine, I thought he might have dived for it. The pressure is really on. He decided to let it bounce and try and get the good bounce. And this is a tremendous effort from Jeff Tuvey. He's beaten 2 or 3 tacklers. That's like getting a try, as far as Manly are concerned, to get back in the field of play.
Well, Mundine went very close there, but he went even closer just before the halftime break. Although I was speaking to the referee, David Manson, he said that the ball was knocked on as it was, but he also said that he would have ruled him offside, so it wouldn't have counted.
Well, I don't know about that, because he was right behind the try line. He had to ask the in-goal judge whether he thought it was a try. I think he might have ruled the try if he hadn't got the call.
I'm telling you, he wouldn't have ruled it.
Yeah, well, anyway, this is it. Now, the St George players, they do get there very quickly, and Mundine, he really just has to dive on it. He tried to grasp it with his hands and no go. And then the referee came round to talk to his in-goal judge. Pete, I feel as if he's going to rule it offside, he would have done it by now. But he didn't, so anyway, they live to fight another day. And 6-2, Manly are playing well, but Saints aren't out of it. They've said they've got to try and make some clean breaks somehow. Yeah. Over the top, maybe the kick's their best option.
And very important to see who scores early in the second half or scores the first points. Well, Commonwealth Bank Cup continues this weekend, of course, at 10 a.m. tomorrow. James Cook High up against Hurstville Boys High. Check your local guides for that one. That is from Cogra Oval. And from
National Gymnastics put their best foot
back to St George's Cogra Oval. And 6 points to 2, Manly in front as the players come out for this second half. And you can imagine the talk here around the commentary box and in the private boxes. Was it a try? And of course the answer was definitely not. The forwards work rate there on the screen for St George.
as you pointed out, Kevin Campion is really being rewarded for this run-on start. He's doing a great job there with the tackles. Jeff Hardy, not many hit-ups for him. And the two front rowers, Ward and Stone, has always been very strong. While for Manly, I think your back row will feature very prominently here as it does. Owen Cunningham's been great. Daniel Gardner coming off the bench there doing plenty of work. Mark Carroll started the game very strongly. 10 tackles, 11 hit-ups and 12 for Kosef.
So Manly coming out now. Innes for centre. It's been a good purchase for Manly. Tuvey in his own personal duel with the number 7. So interesting just which way they'll go, the Blues, when they pick it up where Bob Fulton left it off. This was the moment in the game that every St George supporter would love to have been able to watch on the replay. No communication, Manly. And then a knock-on by Mundy. And Manson looked at his in-goal judge. I've got no doubts it was the in-goal judge that called it. But it's still a smart piece of refereeing by Manson because he waited. He gave every official a chance to have an opinion. Now we get going with the second half. And Manly prepared to spread the ball early on. And Hill is brought down about 32 metres out from his own line.
And that was a tremendous offload by Mark Carroll, who gets the second ruck underway as well. He took the ball to the line, found Terry Hill, and they picked up another 20 or 30 metres because of that one pass.
Gillespie now taking it up towards the halfway line. That's where he's grounded. Over Gillespie. Back now for Kosef to edge his way into opposition territory. About 6 metres. Sidaris is back on. They work on the blind side. Tuvey has been crisp tonight. And they're 30 metres away from their opposition line. And here is a knock-on. One of many in the game. It has disjointed what promised to be an outstanding match earlier on. Still very enjoyable, but it's been punctuated by a lot of errors. Barnhill goes stampeding over the halfway line. And then Manson gets on his bike and goes in to separate them.
Mark Carroll got one in high as Barnhill was falling. Barnhill took exception. There will be a penalty against big man on screen. He's taken to by the referee. Carroll will claim that Barnhill fell into the tackle. In fact, didn't get him anywhere near.
There's nothing in it.
Absolutely nothing in it. But anyway, St George have drawn the penalty. And now St George, a chance here. We'll see how this unfolds, and then we'll talk to Steve about the halftime activities. Stevens goes hard. Sidaris, if he's feeling tender, he'll be feeling worse now. This is Stone. Troy Stone is held by 3 Manly defencemen. 4 points for margin. We're in the 42nd minute. Hardy, just a little bit of disorganisation. Raper forced down by Sidaris. The impetus is gone from this attack. Can they rebuild it? Mundine and Hardy is put away. Strong work by Carroll and Sidaris. A pat on the rump for Sidaris from Carroll as the 15 Stevens is lifted and then put down gently. Now, referee Manson is calling the blood bin.
Yeah, for Jimmy Sidaris when he tackled Stevens before he's been split. Des Hasler coming on very quickly to replace him.
So the Sheriff takes Sidaris off. And St George, if the impetus was gone, it has certainly gone now. Everybody's had time to regroup. Mundine puts it into the end goal, puts on a spurt after it, but it'll come back to the 20-metre line for the restart by Manly. Steve Roach on the sideline.
Yeah, well, in the Manly room, Bobby Fulton would like to see his team lift their tempo. He said they look half asleep. Slow play the balls. He likes them to quicken them sort of plays up. Still a little bit of uncertainty with their attacking game. They've made a number of breaks in the first half, but there's been nobody there. He likes to see, he cited Coyne and Goldthorpe as the danger players in the second half, so keep an eye on them. And St George, David Waite was a little bit upset that they didn't complete their sets of 6. They've sort of let Manly back into this game. Silly penalties late in the tackle count, and he said keep trying to take yards off Manly when they go wide.
Steve Roach reporting on the coaches at half-time. I wouldn't have been surprised had Steve said David Waite was more than happy with the scoreboard considering the performance. But now Manly piling some more work back on the shoulders of Dean Raper. His mum, I think, is the owner of the horse that made the Golden Slipper field this year. She'd be a very proud lady. 25 metres out from the Saints line.
What of the horse or doing?
I don't think it ran in the prize money, but it has earned plenty.
How would you name a horse, Flap?
Well, better than calling it Flipper. Here's Barnhill now. Now for Goldthorpe, and they go out for a big forward wide. That's Troy Stone.
And not good news for St George fans, because Wayne Bartram, after taking the ball up before, is down injured in the back plate, receiving some attention as the kick comes in from Goldthorpe.
Taken on the toes by Danny Moore, trying to do the right thing and then almost getting himself into trouble. Bartram back on his feet, Manly back inside their 20 and leading by 4 as we come to the 45th minute. Craig Innes, Bartram getting back in the defensive line. Gillespie taken by Goldthorpe and Mundine. Little Noel Goldthorpe, very strong. I remember Warren Ryan telling me a few seasons back that per pound he was probably the strongest man in the Western Suburbs club. This is Kosef now. 5th tackle for Manly, and they're just beyond the 40-metre line. Their own end of the park through the hands, and wide for Tuvey, then for Innes, and a handoff for Danny Moore. Danny gets rid of the ball. Walford didn't have a chance with it. Willie ruled that he had an advantage. He'll put a scrum down. No, he's not. He's turning it over immediately to St George.
Well, that was great defence there from St George. They were outnumbered 3-on-2 after the long ball, and they recovered well. Wayne Bartram, who was down injured, gets up to make this tackle here and force the mistake.
Saints go onto the attack now. Across to the left of the park, and Stone has been living out there. 35 metres out. Can they get points on the board? Nobody would like to get them on the board more than Anthony Mundine. He had the chance and blew it just in front of the break. Brown, Stevens, then Campion, now Hardy. Hardy, he gets a pass away. It's loose on the ground. Manson will call this back.
The last couple of weeks have been very unhappy ones for Ricky Walford. That was the last tackle there. His handling has been very poor. He's been around a long time and it's been one of the strengths of his game, but I think you've got to take those, even if you've got a bloke coming in as the Manly defence were.
Steve, what's the problem with Bartram?
Yeah, he's copped a high tackle around the nose area. He's not real happy about it neither. He's blowing up.
Danny Moore back on his 10-metre line. Tuvey then. Manly, they work a lot of players around to play the ball, variation, and they don't mind where they do it either. Here's Gillespie on his own 20-metre line as Carroll comes in to punch this attack out to nearly the 30-metre line. Then Hasler, then Menzies, and across for Hill to be taken by Bronco. 47 and a half gone. Manly in front still by 4. Lyons and Hasler, they combine. It's out on the full from Hasler.
Look, I've got no doubt this St George defence has really intensified in the second half. And David Waite, whatever he said at half-time, he's lifted them.
Chance for the Dragons then. They haven't been able, though, to make a hole in this Manly defence.
Well, that's 2 wasted tackles in a row there with nobody knowing what was going on for the St George attack. Only time they've looked decent in attack is when Stone, Campion taking the ball forward, and Jason Stevens, since he's come on, have got a little bit of a dent.
This is Mundine. Now they've used up, well, they've knocked on. The advantage applies, but I made comment on that very thing earlier on. By the time they get to know what is happening next, the impetus has gone out of their play. Sedaris in headgear to help keep that bandage in place. Danny Moore. Taken by his opposite number, Ricky Walford. And now Des Hasler. Carroll picked up and driven hard. Campion was more responsible for that than Barnhill, as Hasler goes away now. And Lyons has come off, Sedaris has gone on, so Hasler will shuffle out. Good take by Kosef, still got a kick in. Walford now, away from his sideline. He's onto the 40-metre line now, his own end of the ground. Crowd, it built up very late. Not a bumper crowd, but it's quite satisfactory. As we come with Jason Donnelly now, just onto the Manly side of halfway. And then Brown comes back onto the right. Hardy is with it. Coyne not given a lot of peace. Brown now away from dummy half, linking with Mundine, and then Stone. Stone gets a pass away. This is Raper, and Raper is down to the 20-metre line. Brown support. Brown's away. Brown looks around, but there's nobody there. Manly will hold him down as long as they can. Goldthorpe, he gets it away for Hardy. Hardy looks around. There's nobody there. And it's a turnover for Manly. Superb work by the Eagles.
Especially by Nick Kosef. Rushing up, he took Hardy ball and all, got off the line and crunched him. Tremendous work here, good offload from Stone. Raper does very, very well to find Nathan Brown, who looked like he was going to go all the way. Really got straight around the fullback.
Desi Hasler with a desperate diving tackle.
Yeah, have a look at this one from Kosef now coming up. Hardy on the burst, bang. Great shot.
Well, they're hard to score against, aren't they? They just will not let teams over their try line. I do notice, though, in defence, as Tooney makes a good run, that John Hopewadi is playing only 6 or 7 metres behind their defensive line. So if I was David Waite, maybe just put those kicks over his head, turn him around, get some good chases.
Because that was always a good ploy when Matthew Ridge was at fullback. He plays very shallow. And if you can keep driving the ball down over his head, making the fullbacks chase, the side gets sick and tired of having to get back there and bring it all the way back.
Desi Hasler then on the 5th tackle, 5 metres shy of halfway. And Tuvey puts a punching kick in that finds the line. So 6 points to 2. We'll take a break and be back in a moment. And welcome back with Manly clinging on to this 4-point lead. They refuse to let people over their line, but St George have tested them. And tested them more strongly in the second half. Solomon Hormono is on in 15.
So too for St George, Jim Lenahan taking the place of Adrian Brunker. Lenahan, a former Gold Coast player.
Well, Hormono has been penalised for using knees in the tackle. The silly part about it, they had a cream puff effect. It just looked like he might have been hurting somebody. 5-3 penalty, St George, lower grade, reserve grade to Saints, 22 to 18. Under 21s to the Saints, 26-16. As we come down just outside the 20-metre line. Manly's end of the park again. Stevens, as St George try to break them. Manly holding firm till now. Stone, the handoff for Hardy, then for Campion. Campion over the sideline, and they've repelled them again.
Yeah, great defence again by the Eagles. Bob Fulton will be so proud of this tigerish type Sea Eagles defence. Campion was always heading for the sideline there. The angle was right for Craig Ennis to push him over. But Troy Stone's having a blinder tonight. He offloaded again there to keep the ball alive for his fellow forwards, but they let him down.
And that time it was on the third tackle. Taken over the sideline 10 metres out from the opponent's try line. It's unforgivable.
Nevin. Tuvey. Second tackle then as Kosef comes off at the 54th minute. And Tierney tries to go out. But Barnhill is there with Campion to force the big former teammate back. Sidaris. And Jim with his head heavily bandaged under that headgear. Looks like a polka dot headgear on the 40-metre line on tackle 5. They go back for the kicker, and Nevin puts in a good kick, although it's going straight to the St George fullback, and here comes young Raper. I know he's not related to the great John Raper, but just asking around whether another knock on back on their own 20-metre line, whether another Raper had actually been in the St George first grade side, run-on side since Johnny, and the feeling was probably not. Probably not.
Well, complete lack of communication again from St George here. The wingers mixing it up. Ricky Wolford onto Jason Donnelly. He was running back on an angle. Wolford didn't read that. And Manly, what a great attacking opportunity here. A scrum 25 metres in from touch, a wide blind side. They go the open with Tuvey.
Tuvey looking to link up, and the referee has penalised the St George back line for not staying 5 metres behind the last line of forwards in the scrum. Cunningham has taken it now inside the 10-metre line. St George are probably ready to be attacked and gotten, because they've been attacking and they've come up with nothing. Manly then, look at them, they're wide, plenty of numbers. Tuvey comes that way, but then takes it to ground himself. Centre of the park, 4 in front. Are they about to enlarge it? Tierney, a metre from the line. 56th minute on the clock. Sidaris, a knock on by Sidaris. That has saved the Saints.
Well, Sidaris is facing his own goal line when he tries to pick this ball up. Manson right on the spot. Let's have a look and see if we can find what happens. He's turned around, and you have to say just the tiniest of knock-ons back to the St George goal line.
David Manson, to my way of thinking, is having a very good game, and he probably owes a lot of that to his off-field officials. They don't get many raps, but tonight I think they're entitled to one or two. This is Ward, and then Brown, and across for Stone. And he's 8 metres on his own side of the halfway. This is Campion. Sidaris got ricocheted out of the contact. The kick is there for Brown. He stabs it off his left foot. Waits it inside the 20, inside the 10, and Hopewadi just took a quick look up to see whether they were onside, and looking to the referee at the same time as Danny Moore goes across and takes a play out almost to the 20-metre line, and Lions then, but Manly not going anywhere. St George lifting in defence. Oh, Jimmy Sidaris has knocked on again. He mightn't think so, but the referee has said he did.
Well, he's a class player, Jim Sidaris, but doesn't he make some mistakes around this dummy half area? Although on that occasion, did he knock it on? Did the ball hit the ground?
This scrum gives St George a great chance. 20 metres between the attack and the defence. Mundine got an awful pass. He comes across. to the 20. Anthony Mundine, the crowd went up. Mundine inside the touchline. Walford. Now Mark Coyne. Coyne is 5 metres from the line. Walford. He's held and put away. Now St George. They're right across the park and they are deep. It goes along that line. It's out for Goldthorpe who turns it in. It's Ward. He'll play it 8 metres out from the line. Barnhill now. Barnhill. The line is there, but he can't get it over. Lyons hangs on. 5 tackles gone. Brown puts in a desperate kick, but it was really a nothing kick.
Oh, it was an awful kick. Nobody was chasing. It was always going to be an easy take. And now it's Neil Tierney. 30 seconds later, brings the ball out 30 metres. I got no idea what was going through the head there of Nathan Brown.
So Manly again withstanding St George. Oh, gee, that was heavy.
Collins Ward.
No, I think it was Troy Stone.
Troy Stone, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Hitting like a hammer. Only a youngster. Great season. Well, when I say he's only a youngster, he's 24 years of age. Sedaris has been pulled off. And then Lyons, the pass, look forward. Hill is with it. Manly are with it. And I thought that might have been recalled by the referee. This is a turnover for St George.
Well, no doubt the pass from Lyons went at least half a metre forward.
Got a bloke standing in front of me saying, that was forward, Rabbit. I said, yeah, for sure, but I'm not the ref. Leave me alone. I've got enough in the box, let alone outside the box. St George now towards the halfway. Campion coming off. Barnhill. Brown. Onto the left of the ground. Raper. Oh, now they've made a mistake.
Yes, Linehan dropping the ball that time, and you've just got to say that St George are self-destructed with the football in their hands. They just haven't looked like a fluent football team at all, and that's very rare when you've got Noel Goldthorpe as your number 7.
Like an all-stations train, this. Stop, start. Carroll. Had some chances, the Saints, but without wanting to labour it, they don't seem as though they know what to do when they get in an attacking region. Menzies. Manly has been under extreme pressure. Still they lead by 4. And this has come off St George legally. Mundine it is. Linehan. Inside the 40-metre line. And again Stone refuses to die with the ball. Raper really got himself involved, the young fullback. Mundine turning it in for Hardy. 15 out from the line.
And the kick still seems to be St George's best option, best chance.
Here's Goldthorpe. Runs to the line. And then Bartram. But Manly had a mile of time to pick out who the ball receiver would be. Brown's kick. Read by Hopewadi. Beats one. Brushes off another. Takes on another. He's going to make it back. He did, John Hopewadi.
Well, you can rap the Saints for how they played tonight, but that was ridiculous defence there. Hopewadi should never have got out. A great effort by him to keep going. He beats one, another one, brushes off Ricky Walford, gets rid of Goldthorpe, and there's no one in front of him.
Just inside their own 20-metre line. Crowd booing, looking for a penalty, and I think their claim was fairly valid for walking off the mark. A quick spread of the ball, and Danny Moore is tackled. Mundine, good cover. Manly comes back on the left, and Nevin drives the ball down to the 20. Walford on the bring back. beating the tackle of Jeff Tuvey, but Cunningham was there. Then Raper, running from the dummy half position.
Oh, he's been highly impressive tonight, Dean Raper. He's had a great game along with Troy Stone, but Saints, I don't know, they might run out of puff trying to break this line.
Bartram. Now Stephen.
Number 15, Jason Stevens.
6-2. No addition to the half-time break. Goldthorpe and then Hardy. Manly reading them. Mundy. A kick and then it's over the sideline. Just thought for a moment Blanca was appealing for a penalty. An indication that he might have been interfered without being given a proper chance. I'm just watching it. No dramas there.
Danny Moore dropped off him. I know we keep wrapping the Manly defence, but gee, the St George attackers made it look good too.
Well, they've had plenty of chances, St George. Begs the question, do they deserve to win? They just haven't been able to offer anything that really seems to set Manly a problem.
Yeah, I don't know whether they've had many chances. They just haven't been able to create too much. They've had a lot of football to do so. I don't want to labour the point, but really, I don't think they put a lot of pressure on the Manly defence at all.
Hasler wrestled down on his own 20-metre line. Steve Roach, a comment on Wayne Bartram.
Yeah, Wayne Bartram tried to go back out there, but he's got blurred vision from that knock on the nose. He'll be coming off.
Okay. Thank you, Stephen, as we find a loose ball. And the St George player, Mark Coyne, banged into the ground heavily. Now, Bartram looking as though he didn't know what to do with it. Of course, we know his problem. And now Hardy, 12 metres out from Manly's line. Brown high into the hands of Goldthorpe. Stevens, as if to say, come with me. They're 10 metres out from the line. Goldthorpe for Brown. Brown to Barnhill. Backwards, and it's with Mundine. Mundine back and around and standing for Barnhill. 15 metres out from the line. And 5 tackles gone for the Saints again.
Oh, just put a bomb up.
Now, Goldthorpe. He puts it into the end goal, and it's watched over the dead ball line by Hopperwar.
Well, I don't know what they've got to do. Their kicking game close to the Manly line has been just diabolical, really. They've put no pressure. That's the third kick that's gone over the in-goal area to give Manly a let-off. I mean, when the ball's in the air and it's 20 metres up high, well, anything can happen. And they've given themselves none of them tonight.
Almost 67 minutes gone. As Kosev plays it back and Hasler sends Carroll on a 5 or 6 metre run. They're nearly to the halfway. Here it comes now as Hasler is put down by Campion and Barnhill. Tuvey then. Just simple stuff. He's into open space. Fullback to beat. Stands in the tackle. Now looks for support. Kosev is with him. Kosev is put away. 15 metres out from the line. Over in the scoreboard corner, and Manly, are they about to deliver the blow? It's Lyons across. Menzies inside. It's a forward pass to Shannon Nevin.
Well, it was the right play. They'd stretched them. There was holes on the inside, but Nevin has overrun it. Whitby Lyons, a beautiful ball to Steve Menzies. Close look. No doubt about it. Forward.
And holes start to appear late in the game when the inside defence gets tired. That was the case here from St George. Noel Goldthorpe here as he found touch. Oh, wow. We'll put that one down in a little black book and thank somebody.
Well, that's fanning nearly a 50 meterage game there.
I think he'd rather have found 10 metres and have it land up with us.
So here we go again. Another St George raid. How many have they launched in the second half? Stevens, 11 metres out. Brown, smothered up there by Cunningham. Goldthorpe, Mundine, Mundine looking for somebody to run off him. The 17, Lenahan. He plays it close to the line. Mundine's pass is with Coyne, and Coyne is so close. 2 metres out from the line. Campion, a long, lofted pass. And Mundine rolls it in for Hopewadi, and this time they force a line dropout. So, 6-2 Manly after 68 minutes. 11 minutes left. Manly by 4. Welcome back. And an interesting change here. David Waite has brought Anthony Mundine off the field. Campion. Goldthorpe. Stone. What a monster of a game this kid has had tonight. As Brown now gets inside the 20-metre line. Barnhill throwing himself at the defence. They've tried everything else. They might as well try and run over the top of them. Goldthorpe back for Brown. Brown away for Hardy. Stevens works with Hardy, and Hardy is held. Still 3 metres out from the line. That is Lenahan. Goldthorpe. Colin Ward is with it. 7 metres out from the line. And the last. Goldthorpe rolls it in again. Here's a chance. Well, now, who got that one down? Was it Bronca? In goal, Judge. He's got the call. No try. No try.
Well, it was a good appeal. Adrian Brunk. Oh, gee, I don't want that one. Adrian Brunker's right hand going down. Let's have a look at it. Coming in from this side. Well, I think you've got to be down there 2 metres, 3 metres from the football.
Well, if Adrian Brunker got a hand on it, I simply say to you that he didn't get any downward pressure on it.
No, he didn't force it. I don't think anyone forced it, actually. And thank the Lord for in-goal judges. Even on video replay, you couldn't have decided that one.
St. George then, they get another chance. Inside the 20-metre line. Goldthorpe, a dummy, and then on for Ward. Menzies makes the tackle. 15 out from the line. Goldthorpe goes himself. Mundine is back on. Now the ball goes to ground. Hardy picks it up. Hardy picked up by Hasler. 12 metres out from the line. The Dragons with their umpteenth opportunity. Hopewadi on the run picks it up. And another line dropout. Steve, what's going on with Mundine?
Yeah, Mundine came off. He felt a click in his knee, but it went back into place, so he's all right. He's back out there.
72nd minute coming up. Nice rugby league skills from Hopewadi.
He's handled it pretty well tonight, John Hopewadi. Normally a winger. He's back in the fullback role, has been for a few weeks, and he's made no mistakes.
We've done this a couple of times tonight with Manly. Anthony's okay. He's back out there. So here we go again. How good is the kick? It's a very good one. 50 metres in all. As Bartram goes back. Well, he refuses to stay off Wayne Bartram. Raper is up in the line. He and Stone have looked as dangerous as anybody for St. George. Stevens turns it in. Barnhill, that's the 20-metre line. Brown, then Goldthorpe. Around the back of Ward, he picks up Hardy. Menzies has made some good tackles. Mundine across, and then Coyne loses it. Hopewadi comes away with it.
Yeah, look out wide. Manly might go straight there. There's no St. George defence.
I think we'll see a Manly try before too long. If they can get to the other end of the field, as Gartner, it's up 30, just over the 30-metre line. Now Kosef, as he's done so often in this game, makes another good charge. He's been outstanding for the Eagles.
Don't forget that telecast tomorrow, the Roosters and the Warriors, 4 o'clock. And then you'll see the highlights of Canberra-Brisbane on Sunday at 6:30. Manly making inroads. 35 metres out, 5 tackles gone. The kick is off the boot of Shannon Nevin. Off his own 10-metre line comes Raper, and a good chase by Sidaris. So Brunker. Now Walford, and then Brown, and across for Goldthorpe, then for Stevens. Coyne is with the ball, but Nevin is with him. That's the 40-metre line just behind them, their own end. Short passing, Ward. Brown. Forward. Hardy. Picked up by Innes and Hasler. 5th tackle is with St George. And the pass was forward from Brown to Walford. So the turnover for Manly. And only 5.5 minutes just under that. The pass definitely forward. Second ball has got onto the ground.
You know where it came from.
Well, what's he going to do here?
Well, he's going to put a scrum down and he'll give the feed to the team that was in possession. The team that was disadvantaged was Manly. Steve, a comment on what you think to be some confusion with the Manly dummy half situation.
Yeah, interesting to come from the bench. Manly's bench. Des Hasler to play dummy half. Jim Sidaris as a running forward.
31 metres out. That wasn't the right word question to put to Steve. Sidaris in the role of running forward. Hasler from dummy half, though, doing the running. Almost to the halfway line. Lyons and then Sidaris. Maybe this is what he might prefer. Hasler. Long pass out. Finding Tierney. Tierney. Good effort. Pushes the cause. 35 out. Then Lyons. High ball. They're all onside the chasers. Raper's lost it. Manly have got it. There's the try. There's the winning points. Nick Cossett. Now what's he saying here? No, he's given a penalty.
Well, unless there's been a push here. As Raper went for that football, he looked very dusty under that high one. He's about 330 to 1 and drifting as it was coming down. He's claiming a push right there as he's trying to get the football back. Oh, that's a fair penalty.
Yeah, the thing is that there's no way Nick Cossett had to push him. He'd have scored the try anyway, I think. But again, it's just an indication of what St George should have been doing at the other end.
And again, it's an indication that Manson is getting a lot of help from the sidelines. That was another touch judge call. 3 minutes of the match remaining. Mundine probing. Manly by 4. Saints equal 7th. Really, they need to win this one. Then across. Coyne puts his foot down, looking for that gap in vain.
That's Damien Smith, the dummy half. He came on for Ricky Walford. He's a strike player for Saints. Here he comes now looking for the football.
They haven't given him long to do something. Maybe he's a miracle worker. 2.25 minutes on the clock as Brown's kick finds John Hopewadi contesting the ball, but the referee has ordered a knock on. So a chance in, another chance for St George. They'll have the loose head in the feed.
They've got to go to Mundine on the left-hand side and get him taking on one-on-one a Manly defender.
Goldthorpe tries to slide down the side of the scrum. Penalty to St George. Brown. Goldthorpe is still down injured after the tackle of Cossett. Brown. Referee Manson calling. Just calling timeout. Maybe he thought he heard a siren. It's gone across now for the 17. That's Linehan. There's the try line. 1.5 on the clock. Coyne. He's lost it. Well, heavens above. How many chances?
It's a penalty. Penalty to Manly. He's claimed that a Manly player's been taken out somewhere in here. There it is there. Linehan took out the Manly marker. He lost the ball anyway.
Great defence as well from Gartner and Hopewate. Man playing the football for St George interfered with the Manly player. That opened up the hole for Coyne. But even then it wasn't a passage. It was closed up quickly.
Incredible game of football. Now the referee is calling timeouts. He's calling one of the trainers over. And the siren goes in the background. I find it hard to believe the siren can go while we're in a period of timeout. So, quite an incredible game of rugby league. Manly winning by 4. St George, umpteen chances. Manly over the line, only to see a penalty result. And at the end of the day, it's 6 points to 2 in favour of Manly. The tackle counts both around the 250 mark. They've done plenty of work. And they look as though they've done plenty of work. Well, there it is from St George's Cogra. Manly victorious. We'll break and then come back for the Optus man of the match. That, of course, will be incorporated in Peter and Paul's summary of the game. Here's a break. We're back in just a moment.
Here at Cogra Oval, a scoreless second half. The 6-2 scoreline in favour of Manly was the one at the break, and just the one try scored through Terry Hill. Shannon Nevin kicked 1 from 2, and for the Saints, their only success was Wayne Bartram's 1 from 1. Unusual game. St George threw everything at Manly. Their defence rose to the occasion. They had plenty of good players, and the man we chose as their best is with Steve Roach.
Well, the $1,000 man of the match from Optus goes to Nick Kosef. Nick, plenty of pressure on the Manly back row, but you played really well tonight.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of pressure on the minute block. You know, players like Steve Menzies, Daniel Gardner, Owen Cunningham. You know, they're great players and sort of been a bit hard to get a spot at the start of the year, but things are sort of starting to fall in place now.
Manly's attacking game still not what it should be.
No, it's not. We were a bit we stopped and started tonight. You know, it wasn't very fluent. The conditions didn't help. The ball was very slippy. You know, we'll have to try and fix that next week.
Outstanding defence from Manly, but they had enough ball to win 4 games. You can't blame their attack for that.
No, you can't. Our defence was pretty good tonight. You know, that's the thing we've been sort of working on the last couple of weeks. It wasn't up to scratch, so it's come along quite good now.
All right, mate, congratulations. Good luck for the rest of the season.
Yeah, thanks very much.
It is a real embarrassment of riches for Manly in their back row. Nick Kosef, I thought he got into first receiver and took the ball forward in pressure situations all night.
He played so well, something like 25 tackles and 19 hit-ups was an outstanding effort by him. Just got the award ahead of Jeff Turvey, who played a great captain's knock, and Troy Stone had an absolute blind. He was unlucky to play on the losing side. I think Bob Fulton will be in there saying, you know, this has been our best win of the season. They worked so hard, ended up making more tackles than St George, because Saints had all the ball in the second half.
And of course, Manly will be hoping that Auckland can knock over the Sydney City Roosters tomorrow afternoon, which is our game, of course. They are on top of the table with the Roosters at the moment. Footy tab today, it's a big dividend for the low score line, 6-2, $1,661.10. And that match I was just talking about, I think this will be a real good game, this one. Auckland on paper can beat any side in the competition. They're just a little bit inconsistent. They might be able to put it together against the Roosters tomorrow afternoon. And on Sunday, well, have a look at this one. Up at ANZ, there'll be 60,000 people there cheering on the Broncos against Canberra. The highlights of that match at 6:30pm, but please check your local guides. And of course, don't forget State of Origin Monday week, selections on Sunday night. Nervous at all, Paul?
I'm excited, Peter, about the State of Origin series. All the great players are back. It should be a fantastic series, and we pick our side on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I think you're also excited because here at Cogra, Manly have defeated St George 6 points to 2. The 100th meeting between these two great clubs. And for now, on behalf of the Channel 9 footy team from Cogra, it's bye for now.
Tuvey, out it comes. Lyon holds it back, looks for the second man. Kosef gets it on, Hopewate, then Terry Hill, not Hill. he gets it over the line. That is lovely stuff. Now Goldthorpe, off the left foot. Oh, the Manly players have not communicated, and Mundine scores with the half-time siren almost with us.
No try.
7 metres out from the line. And the last, Goldthorpe rolls it in again. Here's a chance. Well, now who got that one down? Was it Bronca? In goal, Judge. He's got the call. No try. No try. 35 out. Then Lions. High ball. They're all onside the chasers. Raper's lost it. Manly have got it. There's the try. There's the winning point. Nick Cossett. Now what's he saying here? No, he's given a penalty.
Well, unless there's been a push here.
Goldthorpe tries to slide down the side of the scrum. Penalty to St George. There's the try line. 1.5 on the clock. Boy, he's lost it. Well, heavens above. How many chances?
It's a penalty. Penalty to Manly.
This has been another presentation of Nine's Wide World of Sports. Friday.